Hello and welcome to this carbon tutorial where we will have a look at this simulation how to clean up the start pose. As you can see, the straps are off the shoulders and we want to clean up, bring the straps back onto the shoulders and have a clean start pose from where we can, for example, animate a character. Now, how can we do this? I will show you two approaches how to fix this. Number one, by editing the original start mesh and then running a lead simulation to bring the straps back in. And number two, with using the live simulation feature. All right, let's get started. We're going to edit first. I'm going to go to our simulation and let's hide this first. Now I want to see our avatar. I don't care about the skirt right now, but I want to see the tank top start mesh, not the output mesh, and also the top to make sure when I edit I do not have any intersections between the top and the tank top. I'm going to select the avatar, press F so we center around the avatar. That's better for moving. All right, now the tank top. Right click on the mesh and go to vertex. I can now select a vertex and then you have these tools here where you can move the vertices. For example, the move tool is W. So let me press the keyboard shortcut W. Now we're in the move tool. Now I can move my vertex up, but what's happening? I'm just moving the vertex and not everything else. So let's undo it. Set. I'm pressing the keyboard shortcut B, which allows soft select. If you hold B and then middle mouse button, you can see how I can change the radius of the soft select. Let me change it to something like this. Now if I move this up, you can see that more parts of the strap are moving. Maybe it's not big enough. Control Z. Again, sorry, Control Z, hold B, and then middle mouse button my mouse, and I can change the radius. Let me change it something like this. All right. Now, let me move the strap up here. I want to make sure that it is not too far above, and I also want to make sure I do not have any intersections with our tank top. We can see there's some intersection here. All right, let's go back to select mode. If I hover over here, means Q. All right, I press Q, I can right click and go back to vertex. All right, let me select a vertex here. And again, we have the soft select on. I maybe want a smaller radius or not. Let's see. Press W for the move tool and move this out slightly. Actually, that's not bad. That looks good. Okay, so this strap is fine. Let's go back to the other strap. Select a point here. And we have the move tool still on with the same radius. I'm just going to drag this one and pull it up here. All right, maybe a little bit more forward to fix this. Do we have issues in the back? Yes, we do. All right, let's select another point here. Let's just slightly move it out. There we go. Any issues? No, looks like we've fixed all of the problems. Now we've edited our start mesh. All right, I can go back to select mode, go out of this, for example, right click and then object mode. There we are. We're not in point selection anymore. All right, I reset the simulation and let's just see where we get to. All right, this looks nice. The straps come in nicely and stay on the shoulders. Look around, they're also nicely here on the shoulder. There's no intersection between the tank top and the underlying shirt. So this is all fine and we got away without running lead simulation. Keep in mind that if your start mesh and your reference mesh are too different, you will have to run lead simulation to avoid injecting too much motion and energy into the system on the first frame. Generally, it is recommended when you start and reference meshes diverge to maybe run a little bit of lead simulation. Here 0.2 and stasis mode is fine. Not that we need it anyways in this case, but we get a great result. All right, give it a second for it to calm down and there we are. It's all calm, we got a nice result and now we want to save it out and apply it. Okay, how can we do this? Let's have a look. We're gonna show the output meshes. Here's our top output mesh. If I hide the simulation, here's our top. All right, next up, tank top. Something in the output mesh has gone wrong with our deformation. We will have a look in a second. Let's check the skirt is fine. Hide, show and hide the simulation. Yes, our skirt mesh is fine. Okay, something in the output is wrong. So the deformation, when we edited the tank top, might have just accidentally been applied to the output mesh as well. All right, let's delete this output mesh again, show the tank top input, and this looks fine. So let's just reapply this to the tank top as a start mesh. Tank top, start mesh. Might have to rerun the simulation, which here was not very slow, so it's no problem just rerunning it. Give it a second, and there we are. And we're back here. We're in a good state, hide the simulation, and now our tank top output is what we want. So Remember, when you see the output or mesh not matching the physics draw, there might have been some other accidental like deformation or transform or something on the output mesh. You can just delete it, reapply the start mesh to your cloth, and then run the simulation again, and you get a correct output. All right, next up, let's save this out now. I select the skirt, press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and I get a duplicate that's not connected to the simulation. I can delete the input mesh because I want the output, obviously. Let's rename this skirt new. So if I have the shape without shape on it, it might be confusing, so I'm just going to add skirt new shape. We're going to do the same thing for the tank top. Ctrl D, name this tank top new. I'm going to copy this name, delete the input, take the output, and add shape. And finally, we have our top. Ctrl D, duplicate, name this top new. I'm also going to copy the name, go in, remove the start mesh, I only have the output mesh, and top new shape. All right, now we need to fix it up on our cloth nodes. Let's go to our cloth node. First one is the tank top. On the tank top cloth node, you can see I have a start mesh and I also have a reference mesh. Reference mesh is because the original tank top I had on the avatar without this shirt. So I actually had a reference to provide to my simulation, which was important because obviously our straps were slightly deformed and I did not want to bake these into the mesh. So make sure when you edit an input start mesh to also have a reference that is unedited so you don't bake in any deformations into the cloth references. All right, what we need to do here, I can keep my reference obviously because I already have one, but now let's point the tank top to tank top new shape. All right, next up, the skirt. The skirt, I do not have a reference mesh, so I need to point to the original skirt shape to use as reference, and now we can replace the start mesh to our skirt new. Where is it? Skirt new shape. There we go. Similar on the cloth. We do not have a reference. Let's point to the original one, top one shape. Use the original mesh as a reference, and now the top new shape is start mesh. I'm just going to hide the input meshes, skirt, tank top, and top one. Make these smaller. There we go. We have the new meshes, output meshes. I can hide these too. Let's go show the simulation, reset. And there we go. And now we have a clean start pose where we can just run from. I can also remove the lead duration. Reset again, maybe save the scene, press play. There we go. And you can see nicely, because we provided a reference that, for example, our cloth does not again stretch under gravity. So you can see it just moves a little bit, but it does not fall down. If I was, for example, to go back to the skirt and I remove the reference mesh to none, reset the simulation, and now let's run this again, you can see the skirt now slightly drapes under gravity. Hence why it's very important once you change the start mesh and you don't have a reference mesh already provided to use the original start mesh as your reference mesh, because otherwise you might have gravity applied twice and your skirt is longer. It's not that visible on a short skirt, but if a long dress, you can really make a difference where all of a sudden it grows by several inches. Let's go back to our skirt and reapply our skirt reference mesh. So, which is our original skirt start mesh. Reset the simulation. Let's run it again. There we go. There's not much stretching under gravity because we use the original references. I'm going to save the simulation now. And we're going to have a look now at the second approach. I'm going to delete these meshes that I created and we're going to point back to the original start meshes. All right, let's have a look. Cloth tank top. We want to go to tank top shape. I'm just going to keep the reference mesh set up as we have it because we need it anyways later. All right, skirt, keep the reference mesh because right now it's the same and we'll need it later once we bring back our results. And similar to the top, just put the start mesh to your top one shape. Let me reset the simulation. Oops, reset the simulation and hide our input meshes. Okay, our top, unfortunately, I added obviously deformation, so I need to bring back my original tank top. I have it here. Let me bring it in. The geometry. There we go. All right. We bring it just up here. Hide the deformed tank top, and actually use the original one here. Where is it? Tank top shape. There we go. All right, let's point to the tank top mesh. That's where we wanted to start. That's how we started this tutorial. Now we look at the second approach using live simulation. All I need to do is go to simulation shape, go here to live simulation, open this up. I already have my picking parameters set. And if you want to learn how to set these properly, please watch our tutorial video about the live simulation. I'm just going to press start now. My simulation runs. Now, I forgot to end it earlier, so let's make sure I end it and start. There we go. Now it's running. Maybe I should hide the mesh. There we go. My simulation is still running. And you can see when I select, I can pull things. All right, I'm going to select the shoulder strap here and pull it up. And I'm going to select the other shoulder strap here and pull it up. There we go. You can see that maybe my picking might not be quite strong enough. But there we go. All right, let's go back here, grab it again, pull it up somewhere here. And the other one we can also pull up somewhere here. And this is how you can easily use live simulation to just pull your straps down and up as you please. I think this way is quite faster than editing the original mesh because you just need to press go, start on the live simulation. I can now go back to our simulation, give it a second for the UI to pop up. There we go. And end. There we go. We're not in live simulation anymore. And similar to before, we can now have a look at our meshes and duplicate them. So we keep the ref, but we want to duplicate the tank top mesh. And you can see now that we don't have the updated simulation results in here. So when you run the live simulation, what you need to do is actually press the back button here. And now the result is baked into the mesh. We're not baking the result at every frame because otherwise we would take too much time and it would also be harder for the graph to operate. So again, when you make changes in the live simulation you want it to actually apply to the mesh, you just need to end it and press the back button here on the first frame and it now causes the results to be baked into the mesh. All right, so tank top looks fine. Let's have a look at the top. Also looks fine. And where's the skirt? There's the skirt. And again, we can now press Ctrl D to create duplicates. Ctrl D, we again call the skirt new. And under it, we delete the input, keep the output, call it skirt new shape. Tank top, same spiel. Ctrl D, tank top, new. Open up, delete the start mesh, take the output mesh, tank top, new, shape. And finally the top. Ctrl D to create a duplicate. Top, new, copy the name, delete this. And obviously, as you can probably guess, you could also script this if you really wanted to make your life easier, especially if you have a lot of cloths. Let's go back to our tank top and we now point again to our tank top, new shape. There we go. And the skirt, new shape. And the cloth, sorry, the top, new shape. Let's hide the meshes. And our original meshes as well. There we go. I make this smaller. Now my scene looks a bit cleaner. Go back to the simulation. Reset the simulation. Forgot to hide this cloth. There we go. And we have our new starting point where we got to with our live simulation. And we can again press play. And we have this clear and we can start fresh from here. So now alternatively, you don't necessarily have to even save on the geometry. If it's just a small change, you can just go ahead and simulate from there. Let me show you an example. All right, reset the simulation. We're in the first frame. I'm now going to press live simulation, start. And I could, for example, bring the strap down. And if I'm happy where this is, I can just press end. From here on out, I can just go in the timeline, move the timeline and simulate from here. Then we go back, obviously on the first frame. Now it is back to where it was, one step further. That was saved in now. And we simulate from here. So you can make small changes without having to bake out the result into meshes and re-inject them. But keep in mind that if I now reset my simulation, you will not have the strap over the shoulder again. So whatever changes you make in the live simulation, once you press reset, they're gone unless you baked it out. I hope this all makes sense and thank you for watching.